Welcome back to another edition of our Potential Picks episodes in review. Here we're back again with Potential Podcast talking about the latest episode of WandaVision, Breaking the Fourth Wall. And boy, does this episode break many walls. And as we've continued to enjoy these episodes as they do different TV show themes, this one, of course, is kind of doing a parody of the Modern Family, Office style, interview, and again, breaking the fourth wall and those kind of shows. So this, again, a lot of stuff coming at you, and this one has a lot of implications for the future of the show, but also the MCU. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about our thoughts, and Chris and I already discussed this a little bit, but we both were a little disappointed with this episode.
Yes, so I think we were pretty spot on guessing that the way that the chronological order of TV sitcoms was going, we're going to get into more of that reality show style with like we said, Modern Family, like The Office. So a lot of looking right at the camera and then having these, quick shots go in with the camera, and also just them actually having the interview style with certain characters. So, Modern Family, huge comedy hit. Mm-hmm. The Office, huge comedy hit. I was expecting a lot more comedy in this episode. And if that's what they called comedy, then Disney needs some new writers, because I just was not laughing at all. Minus Catherine Hahn, who definitely is the ace in this episode, and we'll get to a little bit more of her later. She was the only thing that actually made me laugh with her character. I mean, Agnes has been hilarious this entire show thus far in every episode, but it just, I wasn't buying the humor they were trying to play with Wanda as like this crazy mom that keeps seeing it was kind of neat to see like the milk carton go between like 6 iterations and then see like the furniture change. But when she'd be like, I'm okay, I'm not crazy, I'm fine, I was like, I'm not really buying the humor. And then even moving over to with Vision, him kind of connecting with Darcy and over by the circus, a lot of their stuff, I was like, am I supposed to be laughing at this? Because I just was not. And so it felt like a majority of this episode, for the first time, really, I was bored. I just was not really into it. There's some things that save this episode, from my opinion, we'll get to next. But in terms of the humor and what they were trying to go with, just a sitcom element, I thought it was did not work for me.
Well, I know what you're saying, Taylor? There. No, absolutely. I think Elizabeth Olsen particularly has proven that she does have some comedic chops, especially with some of the earlier episodes. But I mean, with this, I think the idea that we're doing all these episodes where there's still an episode show, I think that kind of format is kind of being played out too much. And I feel like with this episode, it kind of showed the keeping with the format doesn't necessarily serve the story. So it didn't really enhance the story at all. And so it was kind of like, you could have like gone back and did like another, like maybe, more of a 90s or early 2000s, like, Friends style, or another kind of like laugh track sitcom, or made of like kind of work the jokes. Because the problem is the MCU, they've done an amazing job with the humor in pretty much every film. There's been some great writing.
Yes.
And so that was kind of surprising for me too. So I was like, okay. And if you need to, they should have brought in some writers. Like, let's get the people from Modern Family. Can you like work up some stuff with us? Or
yeah, I mean, it felt just like
forced, just too forced.
They were taking a shot at bat and just didn't really work out. And I agree with you. I think them keeping the TV trope, it feels like the show now is past that point.
Yeah.
Too many characters are now have, literally said on camera that they know this is not a TV show. So we're kind of like past that now. And even though Wanda is kind of sticking with this mentality to keep this perfect world going, she left the hex at one point. And, there's just moments from going, I think we've kind of gotten past the cutesy TV is what's masking what's really going on. We've gotten to see a lot more of that. So it was like, we want to now see more about the MCU part, where it's who's controlling this. Is someone controlling Wanda? How did Quicksilver get here?
Yeah, I mean,
we want to know those things.
That's why we watch this show, is because we like the characters. We want to see the continuation of the MCU. After Endgame and Spider-Man, it's like, okay, let's keep it going because there is still the world's not over, so let's keep it going. And
no, there's
so
still
I think,
and we got a lot of things coming up.
yeah.
Now, I will
Exactly.
say one scene that I thought actually was really, really neat, was visually was a cool little action scene, was Maria Rambo getting what looked actually, it looked almost like the ship that's in like Prometheus in a way. It looked like
Yeah,
one of those
yeah,
ships
yeah.
in like the
I
Alien
thought the
movies.
same thing. Yeah.
I was like, that looks like it was just repainted to be a MCU thing. But her taking that car thing and being like, I'm gonna drive into the hex to get through. And I love the visual of her, like, of course, hitting it, not getting through, and the car ramming up, and then eventually it kind of like launched out, and half of it had been changed to like an old Chevy car.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool visual. That was something. It was the first really thrilling moment of the episode. And then we got this really cool visual of her being like, no, actually, I can do this. I can get through by my own. And this was the first time, really, the show being still very new. And we're going to have a lot more new characters coming up in the MCU. I didn't really know if I was supposed to know what it was alluding to in terms of her powers, but Taylor, you did inform me that she's going to be a big part of Captain Marvel 2 coming up in a few years. But she was going through the hex, and it was very cool, the visual of like 4 images of herself, like, almost through different moments of time in a way,
Yeah.
and her eyes becoming blue and electric in a way, and then she got through.
And
So it was
you
like,
and
oh, I guess
yeah,
she's
and the
got
whole time
powers now.
we're hearing quotes and stuff from
Her
other
mom
movies.
from
We're
Captain
hearing
Marvel
mom, we're
and Brie
hearing
Larson.
Nick Fury as well, Samuel Jackson. So, but yeah, in the comics and
Get through that mother hex.
but yeah, for those
He
of
didn't
you,
say that, but
no, he didn't. But that would have been cool if he did. Not for Disney. But the cool thing with that was there's alluding to the fact that in the comics, Marie Rambo, she becomes kind of takes up the mantle of Captain Marvel. So with this instance, we're kind of thinking when she went through that hex again, she gained powers just like Carol Danvers did. So we're seeing that, and then she has a little bit of a cool face-off with Scarlet Witch, which was great. I love that little scene when she's like, "Whoa, okay, you're a force to be reckoned with." But of course, speaking of comics, with that's gonna like, okay, so what's this gonna have in the MCU, which is exciting. But speaking of comics, unless you really are a diehard comic book fan, some of this stuff is going to go over your head. And I think the big reveal in this episode,
completely.
yeah, the big reveal in this episode, the big twist or plot twist of the show, I think is supposed to be happening, kind of didn't have this impact or didn't really stick the landing that it should have. Because, we of course
I
are
feel
watching
like
the
though it's
show.
because
Yeah.
it's not. I don't think it's the big reveal. I
Okay.
think it's a reveal to mask what's going to happen in the last 2 episodes. But true, it just happened, came out of nowhere, and it was. And what it was I loved watching Wanda go down this kind of creepy, eerie basement in Agnes's house.
Yeah.
She's looking for her boys, and she's like, "Oh, they're down in the basement."
I
So
thought
you're
it was
thinking,
turning into
"Oh,"
Stranger
and I
Things.
loved that it looked like we. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay. Are we entering some portal? Is this Mephisto's lair? Is this we've been hearing all these theories the last few weeks, and then it was like, you're not the only one who has powers around here. Ba 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 bum ba 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 bum. It
Yeah.
was me. Ba 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 ba. I was going, and I'm going,
Who?
wait. So now we have this whole scene of seeing all these moments of Agatha Harkness, who is what Agnes is secretly, revealed to be, has been controlling all this stuff since the beginning. So my first thought was, so is she the bad guy? And if she's the bad guy, why? What's the point? Because it just seems so weird late in the game. Because a lot of the show, it felt like Agnes was a character that was trapped in the hex, and she would come out every now and then and be like, this isn't really working. Should I do this instead? Like, she had those moments. So it didn't make any sense to me. But then I thought maybe they're doing this so like direct to the audience because it's actually maybe someone controlling her. But I had to take a deep dive to even know who Agatha was.
Yeah, I had no clue.
I didn't know who that was.
Yeah.
But apparently she is a classic ancient witch. And she was the one in the comics that taught Wanda her powers originally. Clearly, unless there's some age, magic going on here. Clearly, Agatha looks like the same age range as Scarlet Witch, so it's not like it's a huge chance that she's unless she just breaks out to like old hag looking makeup or something. But that was kind of like the big finale. So I was left thinking with like previous episodes. I'm thinking, okay, we had this kind of like take it modern family humor. It didn't quite work. We had one little cool scene in the middle with Maria going through the hex and getting some powers. Then we had this kind of like out of nowhere left field big reveal that didn't have me like jaw dropped. It was just kind of like,
yeah, it wasn't, it wasn't the same as like, the other stuff earlier when we're like, oh, Wanda's kind of all behind this and some of the other stuff that was going on. But of course, we did get this little like classic MCU after credit scene where Quicksilver comes back and he knocks out Maria.
Snooper's gonna snoop.
Yeah.
What did he say? He's like Snooper's gonna snoop or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. Snooper no snooping.
Which again, this just makes me question is there's one thing if Agatha's controlling him, but it still doesn't make sense of why he's here, being that he is the Evan Peters version from the X-Men universe.
Yeah,
so
there's
still a lot to be answered in the last 2 episodes. It was funny, by the way. The internet was like, the last 3 episodes are going to be an hour each. It was 38 minutes. It was not an hour. So maybe the last 2 will be, or maybe the final one will be, but it was not a full hour.
I can't believe the internet lied. Oh my god,
the internet lied to me. But yeah, I at this point I don't know who to expect, but I would not be surprised if we got another big cameo from another Marvel related character that's not necessarily the MCU version, or possibly Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But it's got to have some kind of impact that would lead Wanda from this show, unless there's going to be a season 2 pre Doctor Strange 2 to talk about the opening of the multiverse.
I'm still holding out hope that Doctor Strange comes out at the end, but again, who knows? There's still a lot to cover, and there's still more answers. More questions than answers. So. But yeah,
indeed,
as always, we do hope you, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the episode review. But what are your thoughts? Were you a little disappointed? Were you hoping for more? Exactly. What are you thinking? So always put in the comments. And of course, if you're enjoying our WandaVision episodes, check out, we also have Servant, where we're reviewing the Apple TV Plus series. And as in our previous episode of Servant, we talked about season 2 of our awesome potential podcast. It's coming out here at the beginning of March, so coming out in about less than 2 weeks. So please check it out. You can find that everywhere from Apple, Spotify, and more. So wherever podcasts are found, you can find us. And me and him will be there. So it'll be a lot of fun. We're excited to get started, and we're going to have a very fun episode to kick it off with a bang, and a special guest coming your way. So if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will, but I know that will.
Until next time with WandaVision.